Okay, so we'll start. A very good afternoon to one and all. I believe you all are an excellent learners. So with the web development, I would like to introduce our very awaiting webinar, that is International Webinar on Flutter Development, which costs rupees 200 to everyone, but our team decided to give an entry with very attractive discount to you all. That is 129 rupees only. Uh, that costing will be for your organization. You can share that link with your organization groups and all, with your personal groups also. And the link in the poster will be shared after the webinar on WhatsApp. So I'll like to tell that what is Flutter. We'll show you a short video. You'll get a brief knowledge of that. Okay. Now, actually, I request Dhruv sir to introduce about the Flutter. He'll tell about what actually Flutter is. Okay.
Okay, so I think there was some fault with the video. The audio was not audible. So about Flutter, before Flutter was invented, we used to design apps of differently for Android and iOS. Okay, so for Android, we used to use Android Studio, and for iOS apps, we used to design in Swift. So Flutter is a software designed by Google. So it is a software to design apps for both iOS and Android using the same code. So its market is very wide right now, and the Flutter developers, which are fluent in this language, are getting paid very much. So I think that you should enroll in this webinar also. And because it's such a new technology, it's very vibrant, and you can create some very good UIs using this language. And other than that, I think it's made in Dart. So but you don't have to know anything before enrolling into this course, because there are no prerequisites as such. So I think you can enroll into this. It would be beneficial for everybody. Okay. So Sanskar sir, can we begin with our webinar?
Yes, sir. You can. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, today I have decided that we will be creating a small website type of a thing using the knowledge that we have gained right now. So let me just start this screen sharing. Just a minute. I think there is some issue with this.
Is that working?
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah. We can go.
Okay. So as I was saying, today we'll be creating a small website using the knowledge that we have accumulated in these 2 days. So for that, we have an empty document here, and I have prepared a layout for this website. So we'll be creating something like this. This is Adobe XD, and it is used to design the layouts for websites and apps and everything. So it is basically a UI designing tool. So we'll be creating this website in which this is the home. Then there is some about us part, and then there will be a contact us page. Okay. So we'll be referring to this in between, and we'll start making this website now. Okay. So first I'll be creating index.html, which like we always do. So let me just select the folder I want my HTML document to be in, this folder, and let's name it index.html. Okay, save. So let me just do this. Okay. So now we have our HTML document. So let's see what we want to insert in the HTML part. So we have this navbar with us, which has this company logo. That is my company. It's just a text I've written. And then we have these links that will redirect us to the next pages, that is about us and contact us pages. Okay. So this is the navbar. And after that, we have this main content section in which there is a header, then there is a small paragraph, and then there is a button. So we'll see how to design these. And as you might have noticed that on day one, when we designed this HTML document, we saw that it was not looking that good. But how to make this design into an HTML website, we'll be seeing today. So after that, we have this image, and about us is actually the same layout, just the heading is changed. And in contact us page, we have this navbar. Other than that, we have this heading, then we have these input boxes, and we have these labels for them. Okay. So we'll be creating this website today using HTML and CSS. So let's begin. So I'll start with typing the boilerplate HTML code that we always use. I'll type the title here, like I can just webinar day 3. Okay, so this will be our title, and let's then move on to, you can also add the icon. I'm not adding the icon right now, but if you want you can later on. So what we'll have to do in the body tag first is we will have to create this navbar. Okay, so the flow of this like designing a website is different for different developers. Like uh, use some people just code the HTML and style it as soon as they complete the HTML code, and some people like to just fill up the website first with HTML code and then add the CSS later. So it's your choice. You can choose any method to go with, but for me, I'll be first filling up the document, HTML document with the code, and we'll be styling it later. Okay. So you can see, you can compare both how it looks now and how it will look afterwards. So we'll have to add first this nav bar. So for creating this nav bar, we will open a div. We'll give it a class of, uh, let's say, nav bar, and we'll insert a list in it, because as you can see, this these links that appear in the navbar are nothing but a list that are horizontally aligned. So we can horizontally align it later. We'll do that using our CSS. But for now, we will be placing a unordered list here, and we will give this a class of, let's say, navbar list. And just to be clear, you can use either class or ID, it doesn't matter. So after this, we'll be making the li components. So we'll start with li. We will give this a class of logo, because it's our logo here. And we will create a tag. If you remember, a tag is used for linking the other pages that we want to link to our main page. Okay. So we'll link this a tag to the index.html page. I think there's some, okay. I'll just erase this annotation line. Sorry. So let's start a p tag, and we'll write my company over here, just to make this a logo. Okay. So we open it in the browser, and we see that my company appears over here. But now it looks a bit different as compared to what this looks like here. So we'll be handling it later. Just a side note, you can make any tag, any text in the, what do you say this, live in this document italics, by using these I tags. Okay. So if I want to make this italics, I'll use this I tag. So you'll see that the text is a little bit slanted, so it's italics right now. And in place of italics, you can also make this bold or underlined or something. Like if we write B instead of italics I, we'll see that it becomes bold. So that's how you can do this. But for making bold, I recommend you use font weight instead of using this B tag, but you can also use this. Next, we'll add another li element, which would be these homes, about us, and contact us links. So we'll give them a class of navbar links, and we'll write, sorry, we'll have to open a tag. We'll link this also to index.html. Index.html. We'll write home here, and we will copy this code, and we'll change this to about us and contact us. And this would be changed to about us.html, and this would be changed to contact first.html. Okay, so as you'll see, we have these links present here, and we'll be doing the styling in a bit, but this is how it looks normally. Okay, I think my audio is not audible to you. Uh, okay, so we have finished with the navbar right now. We'll be styling it later, and again after this we have to create these two elements. Okay, so these can be considered as another unordered list. So one list item is this whole part, this content, and one list item is this image. So it can be thought of like that. Okay, so once we can do one thing, we can open a div and give it a class of content, because we have all the content that we have on our website in this div. Okay, so we'll open this div, and as I said before, div is used for grouping a particular type of elements together. So as we saw here, these all elements were a part of navbar. Okay, so these were a particular type of elements. So we combined them all and grouped them in this particular div so that we could style them together. Okay, now moving on, we'll be seeing how to make these three things and adding this image later. So we'll start ul, we'll give it a class of let's say content list or something. We will add an li element here, and this li element would be for our this content home, and then this paragraph, and then this button. Okay, and after that the next li element would be our main image that appears on right here. Okay, so this li element appears here, so we'll just add the image to this. So let's add src, and it is images slash image dot png. That's the address of the image. Alt, we can type anything, let's say website image or something, site image. Then we'll give this an id of main image. And as I said before, you could have used anything, class or id, it doesn't matter that much, but I'm using id here for the time being. So now this part we have created, and we have to write code for this part. Okay, so in this part you can see there is a heading first, then there is this paragraph, and then there is this button. So we'll create the h1 tag first, we'll add home in this, and we'll close the h1 tag. Then we'll start a paragraph and we'll end it. We'll just copy whatever, this is just placeholder text, it doesn't mean anything. And the paragraph is also done, and then we can add a button here. So while designing a button, there are few ways to do that. One, we can directly use this button, or many people also prefer to do this using an a tag. So we'll see that also later. So we can give this a class of let's say heading. We'll give this a class of, let's say main, let's say text. And I think that's all HTML that we need right now. So you can see that it's not looking very pretty right now, but we'll work on that. So this is how much HTML code that we'll be needing. After that, we'll do one thing, we'll link our style sheet to it. We'll name it style.css. You can name it anything that you want. Then we'll start a new file. We'll save it as style.css, and we'll start adding styles to our sheet, to our HTML document. You could have also used internal CSS or inline CSS, but I don't recommend you do that, because whenever you want to overwrite something, and I think I didn't mention it yesterday, but the precedency of this CSS, the type of CSS is that the uh, inline CSS that we put between this element tag is of highest priority. So if you have you give a particular CSS property in here and assign it a particular value, and you try to change that value from external CSS or internal CSS, it would not change. Okay, so I don't recommend people to use this inline CSS, because sometimes what happens is that you try to change a property using that external CSS file, but it doesn't appear on that browser, and then you get confused somehow that it's not working, and it creates some problem later. So I think we'll just start styling this. So the first step of styling is styling the body. So we'll just add some basic styles here, because we want this website to cover the whole page, right? We want this to appear from this border to this the right border. So we gave a padding and a margin of 0 pixels. If you attended the lecture yesterday, I think you'll understand the difference between those two. Then we'll choose a font family for this. You can choose any, but I prefer this one family called Montserrat. Font family is the font type that we want to use. Okay, and let's choose our font color also here only. So I'll be using a dark gray sort of a color, and that's it. Let's save it. Let's save this also, and let's reload our website. So as you'll see, the font has changed and the color also of this text has changed already. So we are making some progress. Then we'll style this UL. So as you would be remembering, UL is unordered list. So we have these, this is an unordered list, right? This part, and then this whole thing, and this thing. These are all a list. Okay. So what we have to do is we are now seeing these bullets in front of this list. So we don't want that. So what we'll do is we'll assign a property to this list style, and we'll put the value of none, and then we'll save it and we'll reload the page, and you'll see the bullets that were appearing here have gone. Okay, so this is it. Then what we'll do is we'll we have these links over here, but this very dull underline appears underneath these links. So we can change the CSS property of this. We'll see text decoration, and we'll set it to none. We chose the A tag here. Then we gave it a CSS property called text decoration. Now all these CSS properties, you'll have to refer to the internet in the starting, but as soon as you will get a little bit more experienced, you will be remembering all these properties well. So after this, let's see what we have next. Okay. So I think we can see, okay. So the list items that we have here are appearing underneath underneath each other. So what we can do is we can apply a CSS property of display flex for this. Again, this is a CSS property that you'll have to just remember for now. And I had linked a link in the PPT I gave out yesterday, and you can refer to that link if you want to learn more about display. Okay. So now this appears in one line. So next, I think we'll style this navbar. So what we can do is we can copy this and add a period, and so I'll make width 100%, and we'll make background color whatever this color was. We see, and the software I'm using for this layout development is XD, Adobe XD. So if you want, you can also use this when you design your own websites. So you see that we have this red color on the background here. So that is good. Now we can add margin top to be 0 pixels to shift it all the way up. I think there's some let's see. We can do one thing. We can make its position fixed, and we can assign it a value of top 0. Okay, so I think it works now. So what I did was we have these CSS properties called top, bottom, right, and left. So it determines the distance we want our element to have from the topmost part of this web browser or whatever screen you are using it on. So we gave it a value of 0 because we wanted it to get aligned to this particular web browser. So we did that, and again, let's see. So we are using this display flex. So we can do one thing more. We can give it justify send content in center. And what this does is this makes all the content that we had here appear in center of the what do you say particular div that we are using it on. So and we can also vertically align these. So for that we'll use align items and center. So you'll see that uh, these links are vertically aligned now. Okay, so I think that's good enough. Now we'll move on to the navbar links. So navbar links, I think it was class. Okay, so for navbar links, we'll like to give a little bit distance between all these. So what we can do is we can put a margin left in all of them of let's say 1 em. So okay, that looks pretty good. I think we can use 2 em also. Okay, it's even better. So we'll use 2 em, and like we discussed yesterday, uh, pixels is an absolute unit while em and percentage and everything else is a relative unit. So you'll have to get comfortable with both of them. So other than that, we have these navbar links. So we can increase the font size, although I don't think it will work right now. See, font size if we increase, okay, it works. So we can give this a font size of 20 pixels. Okay. 24 pixels, maybe. Yeah, that looks better. And we can do apply these same properties can be applied to dot logo. So let's see, font size will give this, I think 30 pixels would be enough. No, it's too much. So 24 it is. Okay. So we have this navbar with us right now. Let's try to apply color to it. So applying color won't work because we have applied this class to li these li elements, and our text is within these a tags. So what we can do is, instead of assigning color here, we can put this inside these and give it a inline css. Okay, so we don't have to apply an extra class to this. So let's say color sorry, color white. Save this, and looks pretty good now. And okay, some of you were asking me what this z index stands for. So I'll just show you what it means. So let's try putting z index of -1. Okay, so as you'll see, if we put z index -1, the nav bar that was appearing on top before, it goes onto the bottom layer, and everything that was other than that appears on top of it. So z index controls the number of layer you want that particular element to appear on. Like if we give it a, if everything by default is on z index 0. So if we, instead of 0, we write 1 here, you'll see that it appears on the top, and everything else is on the bottom layer. So this is the role of z index. Now I think I'll have to give some margin between these two, because as you'll see, there's a big difference here, but it's not visible in this browser. So let's do one thing. We can give this first element a class of navbar links 1, because it's the first element. Okay. So navbar link first will also have the same properties as navbar. Okay, but it will have one more property. Sorry. I think navbar links was okay, and it has to have one more property different. It should have margin depth of 15 em. Let's try 15. See, double dot. Let's remove that. Okay. So we'll style them differently. Okay, I have not saved the HTML document. Sorry. So this is how you give this distance between the two, and I think 15 em is a little less. Let's say 18 em. Let's say 20. So everything is like you have to try and find out which you know property suits you the best, and what value you should give. So it's all based on trial and error. So there's no way out of it. So I think the navbar is complete. It looks good right now. again, after this, we have the content. So what we can do is we can give this content list some style. So let's say content list. We'll give this a margin of because you will see that some part of this text that we have written is going underneath this particular navbar that we have designed right now. So margin top will give this, let's say 10 em. I think it will be sufficient. uh, there's some problem. Let's try 20. And let's try padding. Okay, that's too much. Margin of 20 em is also a bit more. Let's stick to 10. I think it, okay, this works well. Then let's make this image a little bit smaller because it's too disturbing to see that image, such a large image. So we'll assign it a width of, let's say, 500 pixels, and we'll assign the height of auto. So according to the dimensions of this photo right now, it will assign it a width of 500 pixels. So it will get assigned a width of 500 pixels like this. And the height would be automatically decided by the dimension of the photo. So let's reload this and you'll see this appears like this. Okay. So I think we should give some padding to this. So let's say 2 em on all sides. Let's make it 4. Still looks bad. So padding on the was so this looks even better. So what I did was I gave padding top and bottom a value of 2 em, and I gave padding of right and left a value of 8 em. Okay, so this works. And okay, let's see. Now we have can do one thing. We can give each one a font size of, let's say, 40 pixels just to make it a bit bigger, and font weight of, let's say, 400. I think would be fine. Okay, looks good. Instead of 400 we should have 500 just to make it a more distinctive than this, and we should give this 50 pixels. Okay, works pretty well. Now for the p element we can do one thing. Font size can be reduced to 24 pixels. 24 is, I think, too much. 20 pixels is, I think, that's fine. Okay. And give it a padding of right something like 2 em maybe. Not 2 em, 4 em. Okay, this looks better. Right, you're given this a padding of 5 em. Now we'll style this button. Okay, so styling the button, presently we have this black border that we don't want. and we have a different background color to it also. We want this color and we don't want any border to it, and the font color should be white. So how to make that? We'll assign a border of 0 pixels, so that would take care of this border for us. See, the border has vanished. Then we'll choose this color, copy it, and we'll say background color would be this value and color would be white. Okay, so save this and we reload this. We see the color appears. Then we'll see the make the font size 24 pixels maybe. Okay, this works. Then we'll give some padding like 1 em. I think would be enough. And now one thing that you'll notice is it still appears as a rectangle here. Okay, but we want this to have slightly rounded windows. Sorry, rounded corners. So what we can do for that is we can use a CSS property called border radius. We can give it a value of something like 10 pixels. So if we save this, and you'll see that we have this roundness to our corners. Okay, so that's that. And I think 20 pixels looks good for this. I'll have to decrease the padding on the top and bottom, and on the right and left, let's increase it. Okay. So it's more long rather than wide. Okay, I think it looks good right now. So this looks good. This looks good. I think we have completed this one page. I hope you understood all of it. Okay. So now we'll start making this responsive, because as you'll notice right now that if we decrease the browser width, you'll see the scroll bar appears and everything else gets scattered over here. So we don't want that. We want our website to perform equally good on every screen size. So we'll start making this responsive right now. Before that, let me just check the chat box. I think some of you have some doubts. Okay. Uh, Based on how of the session went, I would be really interested in Flutter. You should join the Flutter webinar also, because it's a really good technology to learn, right? So it would be very beneficial for you. Video not clear. Thanks. Yes, sir. Is it necessary to create image ID? No, it's not necessary to create the image ID. You can also use class also, as I said before. But if instead of that you try to give it a height and width over here, so I'll just show you what happens then. You'll not be able to change that in between when you want to change it in the media queries, right? So it would be harder for you to make it responsive. So why are we making classes every time? You can use class or ID, it doesn't matter. I preferred class, so I went that way. Using class, we can style this element and sources. Yes, exactly. Sir, please explain class and ID again. So class and ID are a way of giving the names to particular CSS elements, sorry, HTML elements that we use on our website. So sometimes we need to particularly point out this element, like we want to point out the logo of our website that appears on the top left corner over here. Okay, so we can without this class or any name or something, we cannot point it out and tell it to the browser or the compiler that we want this particular thing to have a different behavior than others. So what we can do instead is we can assign it a class, or we can assign it an ID, that doesn't matter. So once this class or id is given to this particular element, it becomes its identity. Okay, so whenever we want to like style it differently or use it in a JavaScript method or something, we can do that using this class and ID. So for class, you have to use a full stop before using the class name, and for IDs you have to use a hashtag before using the name of this ID or name of this class. So I think this is it. That's how much you need to know about classes and ID right now. For style, is it necessary to create a new file? No, you can also use internal CSS and inline CSS, but you'll see the advantage right now when I want to create multiple pages with same style identities. We can uh, use this particular code there also, so it won't give us any problem. And after that, we can also make changes in this particular file, and it will get reflected on all the files that we are using. So that's a benefit for using a separate file. Yes, extension CSS. Yes, sir. There is no voice. I think there's problems on internet connection. And what is an A tag? A tag is used for linking, making links in our web HTML document. Like whenever we want to redirect a user to a particular page from our current HTML page, we can use A tag, and we can give the URL of the page. What is Flex? Flex is actually a very interesting and strong tool which CSS provides us, but I think it will take much more time to explain right now. So I'll advise you to read it on your own, and I have provided a link for that in the previous PPT, the CSS PPT that I forwarded. Sir, can we use Atom for development? Yeah, sure, you can. EM means I'm not sure about the full form of EM, but it is a CSS unit, and it's used for like it's a relative unit, so it varies according to the screen size. Uh, EM tag is used for emphasis the text. I don't think this is true, but I don't know. Maybe. Sir, how can we justify content? You can use text align. You can make text align center, that we'll be doing in a bit. To make it look better, you can text align it to right, left, or center. You can do anything with that. Sir, could you please send the no? Yeah, sure. We'll be forwarding this code after the session into the WhatsApp group. Sir, navbar list and navbar link are just name we have given to the class, right? Yes. You could have given any name, any XYZ name, and it wouldn't have mattered. What is padding? So padding is the distance between the what you call it, the content of a particular box and the border of the box. Like as we saw here, right, in this website we created. So this is the border of the box that I'm talking about, and this is the content get started. So the distance between the border and the content is called padding, this distance, and it's on all four sides, this distance and this distance. And we can also target a particular padding, like particular padding top, padding right, padding left, padding bottom. And we can also give 4 different values in clockwise direction, or we can give 2 different values. This value, the first value would be for top and bottom, and the second value would be for left and right. Okay. uh, thank you, Sanskar sir. This is a new knowledge for me also. Okay. Ephemeral unit. Okay, right. So after that dot logo dot navbar, it is object of class. No, it's not object of class. Class in HTML is a bit different from the classes that we use in normal coding languages like C, C++. It's different. So in this class is just a name of this ID. Sorry, name of this element. Okay, Z index, as I showed you before, Z index is the layer number of this particular thing that we have. I'll explain it to you in a bit again. Is it necessary to use color code? Uh, Not necessary, but you have more flexibility if you use color code. Instead of using color code, if you directly write color, then you have less options. Like you can only use the mainstream colors like red, blue, orange, green, etc., etc. So I recommend using color codes. I think no more doubts are there. How we get proper color code? Any website for that? There are many websites available. You can just search on Google, and there are many tools and websites available for that. And one website I'll suggest you is this colorsinspo.com. I'll share this link afterwards, but you can get any hex color code from there, and you can also select your color scheme for your website here. Okay, so this is a good tool for using that. And okay, sir, how can we get information of coding of any website? You can do one thing. You can right click and you can go to inspect. So inspect gives you many tools like this, and this is a whole new world for you. So I won't waste much time into this, but this also works. And if you want, you can right click on the page and you can see view page source. So it will open a new tab and it will show you the whole uh, this this code of the website. Okay. uh, I don't think there are any more doubts, so let's proceed. Okay. So as I was saying, this website does not look good on this smaller screens. So we'll do one thing. We'll start making this responsive. Okay. So let's see. We'll add media. We'll say only screen, and we'll give the condition over here that must be true for this code to get executed. Now, okay, let's see. We'll give this uh, max width of, let's say, 1200 pixels. Okay, ideally what you should do is you should you can make several of these, and you can give different screen sizes to these. So you can choose how your website looks on different sizes. So let's say you get a particular dimension of the mobile screen, and you can make designing for that. Then you can go for tablets, then you can go for laptops, and finally you can jump onto desktop versions. So instead of doing that, because we have time constraints right now, I think I'll just make this website for these changes for just one screen size, and but it will still work. Okay. So as we see, for this we first have to do one thing. We see that the name and all this that we had given font size 2 appears on this appears okay on this browser that we are using right now, but on smaller screen it would be too big. So what we can do is we can assign a particular size to this, and that will just do. Then we can go for paragraph, or instead we can just use dot text, because I just remembered we had given it a class here, right? We had this paragraph and we gave it a class of text. So for text we'll be having font size of, let's say, 16 pixels. I think that will be fine. Then we have our dot navbar, or dot navbar. Here we had all these things. So we will do one thing. We will, okay, every other thing is almost same, but I'll just do one thing. So as many of you might have noticed that we on mobile versions we don't have a navbar that extends from this side to this side. So instead of that we have these, like, say, uh, let's say we go to this website. So we have these menu toggle options. Okay, so we can go to this menu, and the navbar that appears like this on the website, on mobile it appears as a menu toggle option. So we don't have much time, so I'll not design that, but there are plenty of tutorials that are available on many websites, so you can go and look for that. I'll leave a link for that also. So instead of doing that, we'll just have our navbar looking like something like the logo of our company would be in the center and nothing else would show. For the time being, we'll use that. Okay, so we'll choose navbar links, and we'll choose dot navbar links one. Remember we gave these two different classes to the first one and the rest of the navbars. So we can use display none, and I think it's not working right now. Let's proceed first. Then we have this. The main image is slightly wider than we need it to be. So what we can do is we can make this main image, uh, let's say width is 300 pixels, I think would be enough. Okay, this looks better. And a way of seeing that if a website is responsive or not is, you should look for a scroll bar at the bottom. Like when we had not written this particular code, there was this scroll bar that appeared on the bottom of the page. Okay, so this should not appear ever on your website. Like if you go on good websites, like let's say we take example of this Zoom website, you'll see that no matter how much I increase the width of this browser or decrease it, you'll never see a scroll bar down here. So we want the same for our website also. So when we do this, after a particular point it vanishes. So what you want to do is, instead we want this code to get executed, and this makes the scroll bar on the bottom disappear. Okay, so and I think it won't appear again. So this is it. Okay, okay. So this is it. And one thing also we can do, more thing. We had given this a name of content list. Okay, so you'll see that as it is displaying this list in flex mode. So we see that half of the browser is occupied by this, and half of the browser is occupied by this. So we don't want this. We want them to appear underneath each other. Okay. So we can select our content list. We can give this a display block instead of flex. And you will see that this appears on top of this. So we'll give this a margin top of, let's say, 100 pixels, I think. Okay, this looks fine. And we will see adding, let's say, 0 pixels for the text, and say margin also, sorry, margin also 0 px. That doesn't work. Okay, so we can do one thing. We can text align center all of this, as one of you had asked in the chat box how to justify content into this. So you can do this instead of using it properly, and can give padding 0 pixels here. So you'll see that this appears like this. So 0 pixels is, I think, a little less. You have to increase it. Say 100 pixels. 100 pixels is too much. 30 pixels. Maybe. Okay, 30 pixels looks better. And this is how uh, this website appears now. So when we cross, let me just show you the width of this browser. So, and you can get this by pressing Control plus Shift plus I, or going to inspect. Okay. So when we increase the length of this, so as soon as you can see the dimension of the browser here. So as soon as it crosses the threshold of 1200 pixels, it stops executing this code, and instead of this, it starts uh, using this particular code that we had before. Okay. So see, think, okay, 800, 900,000, then we have 1100, and when we cross 1200, let's see, this is at 1200, and then this is more than 1200. So you can see the difference between these two. Okay. So this is it. I don't, there is still some issue with this nav bar, but I don't think we can fix it right now because of lack of time. So I'll just show you one more thing. Like, we had to create this about us page. So we can copy the this as it is, and we can just change it to about us. Okay, and we can save it as about us dot html. When we save it, we can go to about us, and it will show you that page. And when we and as I was saying before, we created this style sheet for this index.html page. Okay, and we linked it over here. But when we linked it to this page also, it works properly. So when you want to use the code multiple times, you can use external css sheet, and it makes your work uh, very easy. So instead of writing all this code again for this a separate page, we can just link this particular style sheet to this and execute our code. Okay, so I think this works fine. Hmm, so we also had to create a contact us page. Like you can see here, we have this contact us page with us. So for making this, you can just do one thing. We can copy this code. We can change this. We can make it contact us, and we can remove this p tag. Okay. So let's save it as contact us.html. Let's save, and we can go to contact us, and it will show you this contact us. Now we have to make these three input types, and we have to add labels to them. Okay, so what we'll do is we will start a form here. So form is a tag you use when you want to create a form in our website. So whenever you want to take input from a user, or you want them to log in or something, you can use form. So we can style this form differently later on. So what we can do is we can start with the label. We can give it a label for, can say name. We'll add here name. So this, then we type input type, we give text, give name, and then we can copy this, paste this, paste this. Okay. So instead of name, we have mobile number here. Instead of name here, we have your message. Instead of name, we have message. Here we have message. Okay. And we have mobile number here, and we have mobile number. Okay. So, and instead of, see, we have input, we have three inputs here. Okay, one is this, one is this, and one is this. So you will see that the height of this input is more. So instead of using input type text, we can do one thing. We can start a text area, and we can save this, and we can reload this. So you will see that the text area appears here, and you will see that the height of this text area is more than this uh, text field. Okay, so this is again nice. Then we can add let's see, they are appearing in a particular line. So we don't want that. So we can add BR tags over here. As I said before, BR tags are for uh, using enter in our HTML code. Now we'll have to style these also. So as we are using these particular tags once only in our website, so we can use them, we can select them generally, and we can give them a color of this. You'll see this happens. Then we can give them font size, let's say 20 pixels. Okay, this looks better. Then we can see, we can give them margin, let's say bottom of 1 em, let's say. No, 1 em doesn't work, like 2 em. Oh, margin bottom does not work. Okay, let's see, we'll deal with this later. So now let's see what we have next. We have input. So what we can do is we can select all the input types. We can give them a let's say height of 50 pixels. Let's say 50 pixels is too much. Let's say 30 pixels. Okay. We can give them a border of very light gray. So what we can do is solid, because we want it to appear in a perfect line, not anything like dotted or something. And we can give it a export. So you'll see that this light gray color appears on this. Also give it a particular width, let's say we give it 100 pixels. 100 pixels is that much. 200 pixels, still we can increase more. 300 pixels. 300 pixels looks good. Now we can give some padding to our form that we are using here. So we'll see padding, let's say 2 em everywhere. Okay, I think 2 em on the top is all right. I think we can decrease it to 1 em and 4 em on the sides. Okay. We can do one thing, as we don't want this to change, the alignment of this form to change, we can center align all of these at once using this center tag, as we talked yesterday. If we wanted to change it in the, what you say, media queries, we couldn't have used the center tags, but it doesn't matter right now, so I'll be using this. Now we'll uh, style our text area. So text area, we see, we make this width is 300 pixels. Okay, I think height should also be 300 pixels. We can okay, we can apply margin top over here, like okay, this was good. So we can copy this and then paste it over. Fine. Margin 2 em 0 pixels. Let's make this 1 pixel. I think this looks okay. Yeah. So Our contact form is also complete, and as you see, it looks good in the mobile view also. And you'll notice that you don't need any styling for this, particularly in the media query, because it isn't occupying that much space to begin with when we see in the when we see it in the desktop. So okay, I think it works. Okay. So that's it. We have completed our website with this. Sorry. And yeah, that works. So I'll be sharing this code with you in a bit on the WhatsApp group, and you won't be getting any PPT today because we haven't discussed the PPT today. So you'll only be getting this code. And other than this, we think uh, we can end the discussion after this doubt session that we have. Okay. So doubts, if you have any doubts, please post them in the group chat. So where were we? How to link button? Okay. So as I was saying, for linking, if you want this button to work as a submit button, you can use buttons like this. Or instead of, if you want this button to redirect us to a different page, then you can do one thing. You can use a tag over here, and you can give it a value of whatever. Let's just keep it hashtag right now, and you can close the a tag over here and give this a ID of button. Okay. So when you are styling this in the style sheet, you can do one thing. You can give it a background color of this, and you can give it a color of white. And when you will see what it does is it gives you a button like this. And when you click it, you can see it redirects you on a different page. So if you want a button to act like a redirecting element, you can do this instead of using a button. And if you give this a padding to, it will work, but you'll have to use display block for that. And then you can give it a padding, let's say 1 em, let's say 0.5 em, oh sorry, 0.5 em. You'll see okay. And width, let's say 200. So, and you can give border radius and etc also to this. So this also works, but this, and you can use this also instead of using normally this button, and you can choose any path. It doesn't matter that much. Okay, so after that, have some more doubts. Uh, Explain responsive. Is it necessary to use color code? No, it is not. So how can you keep the button? Okay, so media only screen is we have to type this particular code to tell the browser that we are making this site responsive. And responsive site means that whenever we are using a website on a particular device, its screen size and its screen width may change. Like if we are using it on a mobile device, its screen size would be smaller than the one we are using on desktop. So our website should adopt to these changes in screen sizes. So the websites that adopt to this are called responsive websites. And for making those websites, we are using these media queries. So in a nutshell, if I say media only screen is to specify to the browser that we are making responsive websites. Sir, if we put media only screen and max width auto like this content, uh, I haven't tried that. I think Akash, you'll have to try that and tell me. And it's good to know that you're curious about that. Keep experimenting like this, and I think that would be better for you for learning. Okay, can you present your screen? Don't know what that means. Can you present your screen? Can you explain the inspect interface if time permits? I think we don't have time right now, and uh, using HTML and CSS, you won't need this inspect interface that much. When you are using JavaScript, I think it would be more useful for you. So maybe later if we get time. What is the difference between EM and pixels in padding? So in pixels are absolute units, so they won't change according to the screen sizes, and EM, the EM unit changes according to the screen size. So it depends on you. It's not necessary to use any one of them to do a particular task. You can choose any one of them. But I feel comfortable using both of them, so I keep using both of them simultaneously. But you can use any one also. Code is not being executed. Which code is not being executed? If you're talking about this media query code, I'll suggest you play with this max and min and change the screen size that you are giving here to, you know, check if this code is working or not. Okay. I, is there any, are there any more doubts? If yes, please send them in the group chat quickly because we'll be ending this session soon. Okay, the .css file, you'll have to check this href that you are providing in the code. If this address is correct, I think your style sheet should work. And you are also have to give these two attributes. But check this address that you are giving to this particular href. Okay, and try doing one thing. The css file that you have created, copy it and paste it in the folder that your html document is in, and I think that would work. Okay. uh, any more doubts? Okay, so let me just make this a little better. This is 150. Then we can do one thing. We can give font size of let's say 24 pixels. Then we can give border radius of 20 pixels, and okay, this also works. And you can do one thing. You can also text align center just to make it seem a little better. Okay. So this way you can make custom buttons. Explain responsive. I think I've explained it many times. If you are still confused, I suggest you search it on Google or something. What is media only screen? How? Okay. So I think there are no more doubts. And if you have any doubts, you can bring those to tomorrow's doubt sessions. And Sanskar sir, I think we can finish this session now.
Yeah, we can conclude the session. Before that, I'll take 5 minutes. As
Yeah,
of now, I got to know that video was not having the audio, the first
yeah,
video. So I'll show it again right now.
mm,
It'll be better.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Could you please stop sharing your screen?
Sure. Okay, done.
Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, I'm playing
And
right now.
okay.
Mobile users expect their apps to have beautiful designs, smooth animations, and great performance. To deliver on this, developers need to create new features faster than ever without compromising on quality or performance. That's why we built Flutter. Flutter is Google's mobile UI framework that provides a fast and expressive way for developers to build native apps on both iOS and Android. This is because apps and interfaces made with Flutter are built from a single codebase, compiled directly to native ARM code, use the GPU, and can access platform APIs and services. Here are 3 ways that Flutter will help you on day 1. Flutter is engineered for high developer velocity. Stateful Hot Reload allows you to change your code and see it come to life in less than a second without losing the state of the app. Flutter also ships with a rich set of customizable widgets, all built from our modern reactive framework. Plus, Flutter integrates with popular development tools, which means you can get started quickly with the editor or IDE you already know and love. Flutter moves the widgets, rendering, animation, and gestures into the framework to give you complete control over every pixel on the screen. This means you have flexibility to build custom designs. Flutter apps follow platform conventions and interface details such as scrolling, navigation, icons, fonts, and more. This is why apps built with Flutter are featured on both the App Store and Google Play Store. Flutter is great for developers both new and experienced in mobile. If you're new to mobile, Flutter gives you a fast, fun, and modern way to deliver native apps. If you're an experienced mobile developer, you can add Flutter to your existing workflows and tools to build new expressive UIs. Flutter is free and open source and used by developers and organizations around the world, including enterprise, agencies, and startups. Visit flutter.io to get started today. We can't wait to see what you build.
Okay, I guess this was audible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we are organizing an international webinar on Flutter development that will be done by Piyush sir. So I'll be sharing the link and the message and the Flutter poster and the video itself on your WhatsApp group. I request everyone to share that in your organization's group, like school, college groups, anything with your friends group. I hope to see you there also. I guess this is interesting also. And okay, so, we can conclude the meeting right now.
Okay,
Is
so
that okay, Susan?
I would like to add one more thing to it. Uh, Even if you want to know, I am also learning Flutter. So I think it's a very good technology to learn right now. It's very useful for making apps, and there is a wide market for it. So I think an opportunity like this you should not waste. So please enroll in it as soon as you can. Okay, Sanskar sir, you can continue.
Yeah, I guess we can like conclude right now. The
Yeah.
video will be obviously will be uploaded on YouTube, and those who have the connection problem will be, I mean, the video link will be shared to them. And at the last day of webinar, we are going to share the whole webinar recordings on the YouTube, which will be free for everyone. But the certificate will be issued only who passed the examination, which will be conducted on the last date. As of now, I can conclude the meeting right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.